This video was brought to you by Noble Knight Games. More about them later. Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I'm super excited to share with you the top 10 games that I played in 2023. And not just that, these are 2023 titles. So this list is comprised of competitive games. Because if you have seen my previous top 10 cooperative games of 2023, I have released that already. And I shared in that video that I found the cooperative games that I played this year to be great. I loved them. I had a great time and I wanted to make a whole list of just cooperative games. I didn't want to just kind of like sprinkle in some of those in my top 10 of the year because I thought they were all fantastic. And honestly, they really swayed me. I didn't have a game, a real competitive game that wowed me this year. So nothing on my list right now just blew me away. And that was surprising. I really wanted a game to just, I wanted to fall in love with the game this year. And I didn't necessarily fall in love with the game, but the games on this list are good. I have these games, I will keep these games, and I will share these games. So there's a variety here I found in my list after I looked at it. I'm an omnivore. I really have like omnigamer vibes here where I just have a bunch of, card games, and I've got low count games or high count games or long games or short games or different kinds of strategy games. So there is going to be something here for you. I know, and I'm starting off my top 10 list with my number 10 big surprise, big surprise. Okay, so my 10 is Globetrotting. Globetrotting is a really cool tactile game where players have a globe, and they are going to be drawing on their globe with a wet erase marker, creating different journeys. They have 3 different trips that they're going to take 3 legs, or you could divide your legs up. You can have just one trip being 1 leg, but you're essentially adding 9 legs of a journey to up to 3 trips. So it's a really short game. This is a 30-minute game, and you are picking from 3 different destinations. So you flip over the cards and you're like, look at this location, that location, this location. And you're looking at your starting spots as everyone starts in the same places, and you're trying to accomplish your bucket list goals, which are personal or private goals that you get victory points for at the end of the game. But you're also looking at how long your journey is. If you have to draw a really long line around your globe, it's going to cost a little bit more money. And at the end, whoever spent the most money is going to essentially comparatively earn the least amount of victory points. You want to take the smallest journey possible to earn the most points, again, compared to all the other players at the table. There are these kind of shared goals or buddy goals, and then there are public objective goals. There's just enough to keep you focused and to give you some strategy. And it's really, really cool and tactile. The reason it is 10 on my list, because I think it's a strong game. I think it's a great kind of entry-level starter game of the game night game, is because it's too fiddly. The globes are really hard to get together, and I have kept mine together and then just displayed them, and now they're just gathering dust and taking up space. And the wet erase marker is really messy at the end of playing it. So while, if you don't mind that, it's a good game. And again, I'm going to keep it. I really like the box it came in. It is a strong, strong game, and it's super fun to share. And once you know it, you just play it really fast. You're, again, taking just 9 turns in the game. So lovely, lovely way to start off my top 10 list. All right, moving on to my number 9. My number 9 is a strategic card game. And this game really, really surprised me with how replayable it is and just how nuanced it is. Super, super cool. It's Ancient Knowledge. Comes in a nice sized box, and players are essentially growing their own civilization. It's kind of like a mini Civ game, and you are adding cards. But the cool thing about this is you've got 2 different tiers of cards, and you can put them in a variety of spaces, but it's based on the number that's listed on the card. There are ways to modify it up or down, but when you play a card out, it tells you that this is going to be around for a while, putting it up higher, like maybe in column 5 or 6 above your player board, but some of them you put down in 1 or 2, which means it's only going to be 1 or 2 rounds before all of that knowledge is lost forever, and you are attempting to save this knowledge, and knowledge comes in these little bitty kind of tomes or tablets. So you play the card out, which might have a cost, which you pay with one card from your hand for each card that you have to pay for a cost. So there's this hand management system, and you don't want to get rid of cards because they're good and you want to play them. So they're really fun. So you're like, oh, I guess I have to discard this card so I can play this one. You're going to put out the knowledge, maybe take an action that comes with it if it's immediate. And then at the end of your turn, you are sliding all of your different locations and different knowledge and different cards down one space, closer and closer to lost forever. And those are going to be negative points if you lose those tablets, but cards might actually give you some kind of benefit when they're in the moved over space because you can tap them to gain more cards, you can tap them to do certain things. There's also this area for these purple cards, and you can have only a certain number of those, but they might give you an ongoing benefit. It's a really, really clean system. It's smart. It's wholly replayable because it's just this massive stack of cards, and there are endless combinations. There are also these other cards that you're going for that are collective. Like everybody can see these cards, and if you qualify for it, you can spend one of your actions on your turn to gather it, putting those in this special area for 3 different types of symbols. And those are going to possibly give you victory points as well at the end of the game. Just super, super smart, very interactive, but not too interactive that it kind of messes up your space. There are a couple possible attack cards where it's like discarding cards and things like that, but it's very, very minimal. So I think Ancient Knowledge is a super smart game, a nice strategic card game, and another great way to spend your game night. All right, moving on to my number 8. This one is a puzzly tile-laying game and is the most abstract of all my games that's on this list, but it's another lovely 30-minute game called Shake That City. And I know Shake That City for me is like super far off in the distance, and sometimes it's hard to remember those games that you play early on in the year or that you get as previews like the year before it's actually released. But Shake That City is lovely. It's a nice game with a super cool drop system. It's got this little cardboard squeezums, and it's going to shake up all the cubes, and the cubes are color coded. They are representative of different things that happen in cities like parks and residential areas, industrial, things like that, commercial, all those classic, like city building locations. And you're going to squeeze it, and it's going to drop out 9 cubes in a 3x3 grid. And the active player is going to be able to select one of the particular colors or groupings. And it's going to be what they put into their player board, because everybody's got their own little city that they're going to slowly build with cubes that are representative of, or tiles that are representative of those different locations. Everybody else at the table can then pick up anything remaining. So they could overlap by picking something, but that start player can really kind of set the tone for what everybody else gets to pick from by kind of removing one special thing for them. And of course, that player turn order passes. So being first is really cool. And when you get exactly what you want, it's fantastic. And of course, when you're not first and someone takes, the type of building you need, you're like, no, and you kind of have to, refigure what your plans are. But there are victory points that are along the perimeter of everyone's player board that are going to tell them what they need to do to earn points that go in particular columns and rows. And every single different building type functions differently. It is a nice, light, fun, colorful, a lovely puzzle game. I really, really enjoy it, even though it's really bordering there on that abstract quality. The city theme, it's one of those classics. I mean, I do love a good city building game, and this has some nice puzzly features to it. All right, that brings me to my number 7, and speaking of those puzzly tile-laying games, this is a real-time game. So on top of what we had with Shake That City, my next game, which is Fit to Print, will really challenge players to pick up the pace. So there are just a ton of these tiles that are face down in the center of the table, and players have a newspaper that they are going to fill with headlines and ads and pictures that they discover as they flip over a tile and decide, do I want to keep this or not? And if you don't want to keep it, you just put it back face up in the central area for anybody else to pick up. But let's say you want to keep it. You put it on your little table. You're not putting it on your newspaper yet. That is the second phase. You are putting it on your table because you have to determine, am I ready to fill my newspaper? And you have 3 rounds of this where you have to fill different sizes of newspaper front over the fold and at the bottom of the fold of the front page of this newspaper. And you also have rules on placement, what can be next to what and what can't be next to what. So it is just a fascinating gauge of speed, efficiency, and how well you plan the puzzle pieces you take and how easily they fit into your newspaper. And if you have any remaining pieces because you took too many, that's definitely going to hurt your score. If you didn't have enough and you had gaps in your newspaper, that's going to hurt your score as well. So this is all about planning ahead, trying to figure out in real time what's going to fit and how you can fit those pieces in. Because after you say, I've got this ready to go, you yell, I think, layout, and you are essentially moving on to this next phase, letting everybody else know at the table, you're setting the pace for the group. And so you will have 3 times where you do this and then you will score. I like the real-time nature. I think you probably know that kind of like frenetic nature of real-time games. It suits my personality. I really, really like it. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I have just loads of fun with it. And for me, the visual puzzly feature of it is still very challenging. I find this a very challenging game to play because spatially, I find it hard. And so when I play against other opponents that I find maybe are better at it or have some system that works really well, it's just a really nice challenge. And it's fun, it's cute, the artwork is great. And I just think it's a really smart game. It caught my attention when I first heard about it and first tested it at Gen Con a while back. And it just still is one of my favorite flat-out games. So Fit to Print is my number 7. And that means that we are essentially at the end of the bottom of the list. I am now moving on to my number 6. This one, real time yet again. So if you like those real time games, this might interest you. But in this case, you are rolling dice. The game is The Gig, and it has a wonderfully fun jazz theme where players are improvising and trying to solo and trying to kind of steal the spotlight from other players. You're going to have a set list that you essentially play 6 rounds of, and the rounds are songs. And you open up this this kind of spiral book that all the players are going to be putting their dice on. So this is a collective song that has particular notes and has particular bonuses that you are trying to nab up before other players put their die there. Players are going to roll 4 dice into their personal little cubey little holder, and then you place your dice out. And once a player has placed all their dice out, they announce it, and then everybody else will have to just place their remaining dice. If they have them in their hands, they get to re-roll. They get to roll again and then place them. And there are ways to modify your dice based on your previously earned bonuses. But the cool part is when you take your dice out of that central player area, it's in a configuration that you must then put into your own personal instrument. This is your time to solo. This is your time to really show off. And every player has a unique instrument. You might have the organ, the piano, the guitar, vocals, trumpet, whatever it is, drums. You have that cool instrument, and you will then be circling different bonuses, gaining super cool stuff, gaining fans, hopefully. It's a nice, fun 30-minute game that is chock full of theme, but has this nice real-time dice rolling and placement that's shared, and you're really competing over that. But then you have this personal kind of like grid space where you get to really plan out what you want. Nice game that I just can't seem to get enough of, and I cannot wait to continue playing more of the instruments because I have found the ones that I've played so far to just be so fun. I mean, it just changes up the game, and there are 12 different sets that you can play as a 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, which means that that's 36 different combinations of songs that makes every single game wholly unique. So cannot say enough good things about the gig. I can rely on Noble Knight games for the RPGs I'm looking for, along with the board games, war games, minis, card games, and dice that suit my gaming needs. They also have specials running constantly with deals and offers that provide gamers like me and you an opportunity to invest in new and used games that have been quality controlled for accuracy and perfection. Make Noble Knight Games your friendly local game store. Satisfaction guaranteed. Now might be a great time to tell you the games that just missed my list. These are essentially my runners-up. These games impressed me, and I will continue playing them, and who knows, they might grow on me, and I would have later added them after just multiple plays. So that's why I wanted to mention them. They're good. So the first one is Raising Robots. I did back this on Kickstarter, so I got my copy, and I love the two different mechanics that are combined from other games. So the first one is the Race for the Galaxy San Juan style of having cards in your hand, and to activate certain things, you're playing cards down. And then you're going to activate what's available from everyone playing cards and putting these cubes out on an activation track. So if there's a cube on this activation track, you can do it on your turn. So you're not just picking the cards that you want to do, which you get to pick 2 from your hand. You might be able to activate others. And I love that feature. And then the other thing this has is the wingspan feature of playing cards down into particular rows, and when you activate that row, you activate everything in that row, starting from the left and going to the right. And I love that you're playing cards down and you're just going to be able to get. Next time you're going to get. You're just going to do that. So if you activate, you really work on one particular row, you are going to be able to activate that. And all the different locations on the board give you a variety of things. It is a lovely, lovely game. I really, really enjoyed it. So I can't wait to keep playing Raising Robots. And the other game that really kind of captured my interest and offered me something unique and interesting is Books of Time. In Books of Time, players have these 3 books, and they're going to be adding or sleeving different pages into these books that give every player a different way of activating that particular book. And I think that's fascinating. You were popping them open like a 3-ring binder, but these are little 2-ring binders. And so this one has a domino effect of actions that I find wholly, wholly satisfying because there's some resource management. And then there's this board where players are moving up on a board trying to get bonuses. So just some really, really cool interaction. Just enough interaction with the available sheets that you are vying for, but you're really going for your own personal goals. You're going for some set collection. Lovely, lovely, unique, interesting game in Books of Time. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We are already to my number 5. We are at the top half of my top 10 games of 2023. This game really got me. And I have to say, following up with this game, which is my number 5, The White Castle, really came from Red Cathedral. And the Red Cathedral really got me because I love a good Mancala, and that had a fascinating dice system. Now, in the White Castle, there are dice, and players are using them to do worker placement dice actions. And it's just clever. It's just compact enough. I think the game is much shorter than the stated time on the box. And because of that, it comes in higher than it would if it were maybe just a more complex game. It does not overstay its welcome. Players are trying to build up their presence in this White Castle. They've got farmers, they've got courtiers, and they've got warriors. And they're going to be placing those figures from their player board out, opening up spaces to get more bonuses if activated. They're also kind of building up this kind of like lantern system where if they activate their lantern, they're going to get more and more and more bonuses because they've sent courtiers up into the castle, gaining these really powerful cards. And they're going to send their farmers out where the bridges are, and those farmers are going to get first-time immediate bonuses, but possible end-round bonuses if there are dice left on the bridge where they are located under. And these dice go from low to high, and it's just so clever, because on your turn, you take a die, you place a die, you do the action. You do that 3 times, and the round's over. Then you have 3 rounds, and the game's over. So there's just enough here to sink your teeth into. It is a lovely theme. It's really, really beautiful. I do think it's a little tough getting into the game with the rules and with the rule book, but there is absolutely something really good in the White Castle. I think it's a super, super solid game. And again, I was surprised that I found myself liking it so much after really enjoying the Red Cathedral. So I think Devere Games is putting out some dynamite 1 hour or sub 1 hour games that are just really, really cool. So that is going to start off my top 5 with my 5th game of 2023. Okay, we're moving on to my number 4. This game is a super thematic game. Now, when you find yourself just immersed in a world and with this kind of IP that this game does offer, it's fun. I love it. I love a nice kind of light role-playing game, and in The Witcher: The Old World, players are playing a Witcher and they are going around to different schools on this giant location map trying to up their stats. They have a personal stat board, and when they get those stats raised and they raise them kind of equally, they're going to be able to gain progress on this other chart that gives them other bonuses. They're going to go out and they're going to fight monsters. They can also fight each other, and that's another way to raise your status. And if you have fought a total of anywhere between 4 to 6 trophies, then you are going to win the game. Now, the really cool thing about this game is it is a deck builder and loser. You might actually be losing cards. But what these cards do is multifunctional, and again, I find that to be so fascinating. I like that the cards you gather have a symbol, and these symbols are going to allow you to walk around on the board. You have to pay the symbol based on where you're going. Now, there are ways to get around that and to pay gold or to pay more cards than what the symbol is just to get to that place, but you want to be really, really efficient. So you're playing down a card, let's say a forest, and you're trying to get to a forest location. You can play down your cards, but you can also use your cards in battle, and that's what you're looking at when you are drafting cards, because there's going to be this open market display. So do I go for the symbol? Do I go for the bonus? Can I get both? And can I not pay too many cards from my hand to gain that card? So it's all about this card management. It's all about raising your stats, going to those schools so that you can essentially learn different skills and stats. Every Witcher has a special, unique ability, and the monsters get harder and harder, but you might have some easy ones or some medium ones. It's fun. It's fun. The battle system is great. Fighting each other Witcher is fine. It's not the worst thing in the whole world, and it's just fun. There's another thing too where you get to draw a card and read a story. I love that. I love it so much. I want to read a card and have a choose your own adventure, like little mini thing that happens at the end of my turn. Kind of reminds me of the cards between Gloomhaven. You draw a card, you're like, are we going into the city? Are we going into the country? Which one are we going into? And you just read it. And there are so many different cards that give you bonuses that might hurt you, that might help you, that might do both of those things, but they give you an opportunity to have a little mini adventure in addition to taking your turn. So much to love in The Witcher Old World. I really like it. I just really like it. It's fun. It is so much fun. So that is going to be my number 4. All right, folks, my number 3 surprised me as much as it might surprise you, but it needs some love, and I think it's really good. And it made my number 3 of the year as a small box card game that introduces hand management, and it's got some blind bidding, which I find to be fascinating because I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, kind of guessing what other people are going to do and then responding ahead of time to try to outthink them or to thwart them. But this game is all about fashion. It is couture. There we go. Got to keep that going, folks. So in couture, players are selecting their action points that they're going to put either into Paris, New York, or Tokyo, and they have these 3 cards in their hand, and they're going to slot their cards into the location of the city that they want to essentially gain cards from. And the cards are displayed beforehand so players know what they're going for, they know what they really want, and they know what they don't want, because there are going to be flops out there, because this is, high fashion, this is couture. You're going to have flops and signature styles and really fun stuff. This is a cool game because once you put down and everyone reveals where they're going and how much action points they're spending, there are smart, clear winners of ties based on the number that's on your card, which I love. There's no question about how to break ties, and ties are common. And I think that it's built that way so that you play strategically. There are ways to earn victory points on cards. There's set collection at the end. There are cards that or bonuses you can earn in-game if you get matching streetwear, for example. It's just clever. So you put your bid out and you say, well, I've got in, Paris, I've got 4 points of action. My opponent over here has 5, someone else has 3. Well, 5 goes first, takes a card. I go next, take another card. And the last player takes the last card. But let's say one person goes to a city. They get all the cards. Or let's say 2 people go to a city. First player goes, takes 1 card. Second player goes, takes 1 card. First player goes again and takes the remaining card. There are always 3 cards, no matter if you have 3 players or 6 players. And I have to play, I've played with all the player counts, and it works. It just works. It works every single time. I love the fashion. I love the artwork. I love that this is a tiny card game. And it's really, really smart about how you have to plan your action points. I think it's cool. I love the secret kind of like bidding of your action points and then putting it down, thinking what other people are going to go for and what you really need. It's fun. It's fun. And I think it deserves to be this high on my list because I kept moving it around. I kept saying, oh, well, it's, just this, or, it's not really introducing anything new necessarily with, a game, mechanism or, but the unique theme of the couture and the design with the artwork blew my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about the game. I can't stop playing the game. And I think that means that I really like it. So Couture is my number 3 of this year. Boy, we are just blazing right along. I am super thrilled to tell you about my number 2. This one is a pew pew Wild West theme. And you are going to essentially play a Wild West character running around, kind of roping cattle. You're going to go out on the trail. You're going to build up some stuff in town. You might go dig up a grave in the cemetery because this is Flip Town. Now, Flip Town, it was on my radar because I think the designer is something else. And so it's so high on my charts because I want to play this game again. I want to play this game for a lot of reasons. The first thing is it comes in a nice compact box, has fantastic artwork and components. Players are going to have this player board that they're going to do dry erase all over, and it is a flip and write. So you play this by yourself. You can play this with other people. Mostly it's an independent game with you kind of vying for public objectives, but it kind of reminded me of Hadrian's Wall where everyone's just kind of playing by themselves, but you're sharing the same information. So that's going to be the kind of like crossover I see with that. And I don't mind that. I don't mind a game that has me just working on my own board, running around doing whatever I want. So in this game, players are going to collect money and gold nuggets, and they want to earn sheriff badges. That's the victory point condition, is whoever has the most. At the end of every round, the sheriff is going to try to arrest everybody, and it's a super fun press your luck system that you can bribe the sheriff to get out of, or you can prevent that from happening by hedging your bets and getting rid of your wanted posters. But players are going to gain wanted posters going out and doing some naughty stuff, and it's fun. It's so exciting. You kind of have to figure out, well, how much can I press before I'm too wanted, and the law is going to come down on me. So I think the really cool feature about Flip Town is that you will take a deck of 52 cards and you're just going to flip 3 over. And you're going to pick one of the cards as your suit, one of the cards as the value, and you're going to go to that location and do that thing. And players get to pick of all the 3 cards, which one do I want my value, which one do I want my suit, and then you just go. You're like, I'm going to go mine. I'm going to do the diamond action, and I'm going to mine down here, and I'm going to get this and that and that. Done. The last card that you don't use is going to be part of your poker hand. So there are 5 turns, and there are going to be 3 rounds. So you're going to have a poker hand of 5, and at the end of your 5th turn, end of round 1, you're going to essentially have a poker hand, and you're going to get bonus points and money for doing that, or gold. And it's super cool. You do it 3 different times, and then the game's over. It is a fun, thematic game. it gives me the Western Legends feel without taking out all of Western Legends and taking out all the stuff and like playing for hours. This is a 30, 40-minute game, and it doesn't matter if you have 1 player, if you have 4 players. It's great. It's so, so fun. I love it. So that is going to be my number 2, Flip Town. And now we are here at the number 1 game of 2023 for me, and I'm super, super, super excited. Look! He's got a little gift for me. So I'm going to open up this gift, and I'm going to find out what my number 1 is. Okay, it's time to find out what my number 1 of this year is. It's kind of heavy. All right, here it is, everybody. Apiary. So, Apiary really caught my attention. I'm a huge fan of Stonemaier games. There's just something about those games. I feel like it just fits my brain. I have been having such a blast with Tapestry and all the expansions. And I have to say that Apiary really caught my eye with the worker placement, the unique theme, and the variable player powers, because players are going to take on this bee colony, and they have a faction. And their faction has a unique way of playing and certain bonuses. And they also are going to have this unique hive. Every player is going to start with a different configuration of a hive that gives you different bonuses when you place tiles out there. So you've got great worker placement with lovely worker bumping. So there's no blocking necessarily in this game. You are simply going to bump somebody out of the space, giving them their worker bee back. And when a worker bee grows, whenever you are going to retrieve your workers at some point, your 1s go to 2s, your 2s graduate to 3s, your 3s go to 4. But if you want to hibernate or bring out back bees that are 4s, that's as high as they get, and they have to hibernate. Now, hibernation is not the worst thing. You get really cool stuff when you hibernate, but that bee will then go back to the supply, with which you must generate a new bee starting at level 1. And there are so many lovely places to go. You have a lot of great choice. You need to go out and gain these tiles. There are 3 different types of tiles that give you 3 different kinds of bonuses and activations and victory point value. And you're going to place those into your hive. And if you cover something up, you're going to get a bonus. There are going to be these special dances that you can create. There are going to be bee cards that are super cool and powerful because they're going to give you victory points or multipliers for victory points. I love the card section. There's a way for you to use cards in 3 different ways. There's also this exploration section, and that's where you can go and get resources. I mean, this game is replayable. It is lovely on theme. And I just find myself wanting to play it. It's really balanced, and it's got quality components and quality visuals. Like the artwork is just lovely here too. So I feel like of all the games on my list, I think Apiary has it all, and it is that lovely 1 hour to an hour and a half strategy game with worker placement, tile placement, and just nice asymmetrical player abilities starting and continuing throughout the game. It's super cool. It is lovely, and Apiary absolutely tops my chart for my top 10 games of 2023. All right, everybody, that's it. That's all for me this year. There have got to be some games that didn't make my list that did make yours, so you have to write in the comments below. Let me know, what did you play this year? What did you love? What really captured your attention? Because I know there were a lot of games that I didn't get to. I tried my hardest to play as many 2023 titles as I could so that I could make this list for you. But I have to say, the 10 games on my list, absolutely 100% stand behind. Cannot wait to keep playing all of them and share them with my gaming group, my friends, and my family. So what are those games for you? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the new year. Happy New Year. See you in 2024, everybody.